Economists try to forecast economic conditions to help consumers, firms, and governments make better decisions. Consumers want to know how easy it will be to find work, how much it will cost to buy goods and services in the market, or how much it may cost to borrow money. Businesses use macroeconomic analysis to determine whether expanding production will be welcomed by the market. Economics could be understood better with these aspects. Firstly, effect of globalization. The concept of globalization is that we are linking a country economic with that of the entire world, as a result of which we create high levels of exports, imports, and free movement of capital. In general, globalization decreases the cost of manufacturing. This means that companies can offer goods at a low price to consumers. The average cost of goods is a key aspect that it contributes to the increases in the standard of living. Consumer also have access to a wider variety of goods. Globalization results in a supply that it is interconnected globally, and incomes again that are interconnected globally, as well as markets that are interconnected globally. Expansion of market through exports and widening of resources based on the imports and increase in the financial through foreign capital inflows allows us to grow as well. Economic globalization refers to the increasing interdependence of world economies as a result of growing scale of cross-border trade of commodities and services, a flow of international capital, and wide and rapid speed of technologies. Globalization is the spread of products, technology, information, and job across national borders and cultures. In economic terms, it describes an interdependence of nations around the globe fostered through the free trade. Developing countries also benefit through globalization, as they tend to be more cost effective and therefore attract jobs. The benefits of globalization have been questioned, as the positive effects are not necessarily distributed equally. Globalization is a social, cultural, political, and legal phenomenon. Now, socially, it leads to greater interaction. In production on supply, we will have agriculture, we will have industry, services, and imports, and in expenditure or demand. The expenditure represent the demand for goods or services, and they can be classified as expenditures for consumption, expenditure for investment, government spending, or exports, which represent expenditures by foreigners when they buy our products and services, and then finally the income which again comes through consumption and through taxes. When domestic income is insufficient to finance expenditures, then you have foreign financing and domestic savings. When domestic savings are inadequate, you will be having foreign expenditure. So, the imports are greater than the total exports, then the country is spending more than the what it is earning. That is why we have a trade deficit or a current account deficit. Finally, let us understand the total economic model. In this, production or supply are mainly driven by agriculture, industries, services, and as a result of which they are in a consumption, there is a saving and income derived from taxes. Not only domestic saving, it is also having foreign savings, in which derives expenditure that creates demand, which is consumption driven, or gives rise to investment, government spending, or exports. So we come to the point that it is investment that expands production capacity, and countries with high investment rate tend to go faster, and then the saving is the one that finance investment. Foreign savings will be needed if domestic savings are not sufficient to finance domestic investment. When taxes are insufficient to finance government expenditure. When this happens, it is crowding out of capital, or even it draws on foreign savings. So this is the total economic model, and all this is done to create a supply to produce output either in agriculture or the industry or the services, or it is also through imports. Next, we are moving into the topic national output. National output is the heart of macroeconomics, and now the total of goods and services a country produces constitute its constraints. When we measure national output, we add together the dollar selling amounts of all the things that we have sold. A variety of measures of national income and output are used in economics to the estimate total economic activity in a country or region, including gross domestic product, that is GDP, gross national product, that is GNP, and net national product NNI, and adjusted national income. We define national output as the total market value of all the final goods and services produced and sold during a particular year. GDP is important because it gives information about the size of the economy and how an economy is performing. The growth of the real GDP is often used as an indicator of the general health of the economy. In broad terms, an increase in the real GDP is interpreted as a sign that the economy is doing well. When we measure national output, we add together the dollar selling amounts, all the things that we have sold. So therefore, the nation economies must produce volumes of output, and that is more important than the larger quantity of money. Three strategies have been used to obtain the market values of the goods and services: the product method, the expenditure method, and the income method. Macroeconomics agree when the economy witnesses growth from period to period, which is indicated in the GDP growth rate. Unemployment levels tend to be low. This is because with rising GDP level, we know the output is greater, and hence more laborers are needed to keep up with the greater levels of production. Not all productive activities is included in GDP. For example, unpaid work and black market activities are not included in GDP because they are difficult to measure and value accurately. That means, for example, that a baker who produces a loaf of bread for a customer would contribute a GDP, but would not contribute to GDP if he baked the same loaf for his family. Moreover, gross domestic product takes no account of the wear and tear on the machinery, buildings, and so on. That they are used in the producing the output. If this depletion of the capital stock called depreciation is subtracted from GDP, we get net domestic product. The third main thing macroeconomists look at is the inflation rate, or the rate at which the prices increase. Inflation is primarily measured in two ways: through the consumer price index and the GDP deflator. The CPI gives the current price of the selected basket of goods and services that is updated periodically. The GDP deflator is the ratio of nominal GDP to real GDP. If nominal GDP is higher than real GDP, we have assumed that the prices of goods and services has been rising. Both the CPI and GDP deflator tend to move in the same direction and differ by less than 1%. So these are all the important aspects that one must know in understanding the basics of economics. Thank you.